So one of the things that I get asked most is, so Pete, did you ever have a close encounter with a ship? And in this episode, episode 2, you will see this close encounter that I had on my solo row across the Atlantic Ocean with a ship called Finesse. You'll also see me making friends with birds and fish and going into big storms. If you like this episode, please subscribe, press like. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Peter van Kets. Kim and I had often discussed whether she should come out to the start or not, and had decided against it because it was a time that I really needed to focus on the race. And one morning I was chatting to her on the phone and she suggested that she came out to the start, and I just said, why not? Come. Even though we had agreed that it wasn't going to happen, she got onto an aeroplane and a couple of days later there she was. She was on the ferry on her way out to Gquma. And as soon as she arrived I was like a new man. It was great having her there.
The situation is that we haven't got flares for the fleet. The situation that we've had, we've gone to absolutely everyone that we could possibly go to try.
Then, out of the blue, all the rowers were called together by the staff of Woodvale Challenge. They gave us some shocking news. All the boats' flares in one container had arrived in Tenerife, the capital of the Canary Islands, but the customs official had not allowed them to offload because somehow there was some mistake on the papers, and now we were without flares. It is obviously a very hectic thing for us, not only the rowers but also the extended families that had come out to the start of the race. The race had been postponed, people would be going home without saying goodbye to their loved ones properly. We decided, however, that we would just stick to our original schedule, and so we decided to put the boat in the water. It was quite surreal watching the boat being hoisted off its trailer. I couldn't help but think of all the people that had put in so many hours, that had helped so much before the start of the race, and the guys that had inspired me so much to get to the start line of this race. I felt really motivated. I knew that I had something to prove to them, something to show them, and I was ready for the challenge.
This is Joe and Chris's boat. Decided to take it into water. Chris is just applying a bit of anti-foul to where it's resting on the cradle.
Hey, good work,
Go float. Come on, boys.
Eventually all the flares had arrived at the start of the race, and rumours were rife that now there were problems with the weather, that storms were coming across the Atlantic, and that may create further delays with the start of the race. It would mean that Kim would have to leave the Canaries without saying goodbye to me, and it was something that we had not counted on emotionally.
It's just very hard to say goodbye to Peter once, and it's dreadful to have to do it twice, and especially I just imagined that we'd be waving him off, not the other way around, so it just feels dreadful.
Leaving Gquma, morning of the race, ready to go.
And then finally, after being held prisoner on the island for weeks and weeks now, it looked like we were going to get the green light, that there was a gap in the weather and enough time for us to get down south before the next storm hit.
9 minutes till we go. All the crew's out there now. Holding our position, waiting to start.
We're just about to start this epic journey. I'm very excited. It's been a long build up, and that's the way I've got to go 5,500 kilometers. It's going to be a spectacular trip, and I'm so looking forward to sharing it with you. The sea conditions and wind conditions at the start of the race were absolutely perfect. Perfectly downwind, northeast, and so for the first 4 or 5 hours of the race it was spectacular. The Nyamazela was flying along, and then everything just changed. Like in the first race, it was almost uncanny. The sea state changed completely. It started getting really rough. The wind started blowing from the northwest, which is not where we wanted it to blow from. It created a little bit of a problem with me. I experienced my first few little problems with the boat. One of the steering mechanism's bolts fell out and fell into the well when I wasn't rowing. And that created a little bit of consternation to me. And then I started feeling sick, can you believe it? And the 2007 race, I didn't get sick at all. And I started feeling a little bit nauseous. And it was probably a mixture between being anxious and the rough state of the sea. And it rained as well on the first night, which also just added to the misery of the situation.
This is what Rowing Atlantic's all about. Kings of Leon, nice sunset, following sea, 4.6 knots. Boom.
Okay, so it's Friday. Today we've been on the race. We started on Monday.
We think we're making good progress. Unfortunately, we made a stupid decision to run the batteries down with our fusion head unit speakers, basically. So we're having to ration everything at the moment for a couple of days anyway. But fortunately, as you can see, it's nice and sunny outside.
Chris, we're in a row.
Big wave, JP. Big wave. Got the compressor behind us.
Yeah, I got a little bit seasick. And over the first few days, and I haven't been, obviously, because I couldn't eat properly.
I had decided that our cat would be neutered on Peter's first day at sea because I thought it would be good for him to think that somebody was worse off than he was.
I'm averaging about 50 nautical miles a day. I've been out in my parachute anchor for a full night. It's been an absolutely torrid time, but I'm hoping things are going to improve now. I've only got 2,700 nautical miles to go. It's just a tip and a putt. My alarm's just gone off for a big ship that's in the area. Tanker finesse, tanker finesse. This is Nyamazela. I'm reading you loud and clear. Did you pick me up on the AIS, over?
Yes, my friend, because I tell you all to see if everything is okay. Everything okay on board?
Everything's perfect. I'm busy rowing across to the Caribbean, over.
Yes, your eyes I can see, but no name. Just, your number, nothing else. Anyway, if everything okay, I'm supposing just to see in case happens something.
Oh no, everything is good. Thank you very much, over.
Day. We managed to get ourselves into quite a nice routine now, whereby from 9 till 9 at night we rove 2 hours on, 2 hours off, and then 9 till 9 in the day, hour and a half on, hour and a half off. We find that's just about enough time to get some food down us, have a snooze, and read a book or something, and chill out and feel fresh for the next shift.
Yes, I've got a serious problem. Like, we're just a couple of days into the race and my 12-volt charger female fitting that I've got is broken, and I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do. I've tried to get into this electrical board here and fix it, but I'm having a serious problem with that.
Worst of all, I got a phone call from Peter at 2 o'clock in the morning, and through the haze of sleep I heard the complete distress in his voice. And he basically said he was phoning to say that his sat phone charger was completely and absolutely beyond repair, and that this would probably be his second last phone call home before his battery died.
So this is how I actually fixed the sat phone thing. So I've made a jig like this for the sat phone, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to plug this into that over there. Here we go. Yoo-hoo! And it is definitely charging. Alright, so I've already got one bar up and things are looking good.
He called me at 12:30 the next day to say it's fixed, and I was beside myself with excitement. I think anybody who'd driven past me would have thought I was mad because I was bellowing with excitement while I was driving my car.
I realized very quickly that Charlie was going to be a big problem for me out at sea.
The boat's doing really well. I'm inside, and it's got 4 knots there. I don't need to row when it's going that fast.
He had a boat that could make use of all the downwind conditions much more than my boat could.
My hands are really bad. My bottom's
particularly nasty. I won't even go there. This strong wind is actually quite beneficial to me because it gives me a chance to heal my wounds whilst all the others are having a harder time of it, I guess.
But there was no ways that I was going to let that affect me. I wasn't paralysed by the fear of failure at all.
Everyone knows he's a motivational type of guy, and he could motivate anyone from any sort of slum that they have for the situation to become positive.
The sliding seat mechanism that I had chosen was a bit of a gamble. I had wanted to improve on the previous rowing seat that I had in the 2007 race, and now the seat looked like it was starting to give me a little bit of problems.
One of the challenges that Pete's picked up over the last few days is this bearing mechanism and the slide. Some of the salt water is washed into this linear roller bearing and has actually washed out some of the lubricant inside here. So we have to find a way in which he can regularly re-grease this bearing without too much discomfort and also without causing any damage to the bearing.
There's been a huge amount of people that have put a lot of effort into helping me get to where I am right now, and so what I've done is I've dedicated every day of this race to a particular person that's either influenced my life in a positive way or has helped me get to the start line. And I phone them on my sat phone every day, or whoever's day it is, and I tell them that it's their day and that I'm thinking of them. Just looking at the boat while I'm rowing, seeing all the different things that were built for the boat really reminds me of all the people who put so much effort into it. One of them was my friend Niels Anderson. He is a talented engineer, one of the brightest people I know. He helped me a huge amount in the building of my boat. He was at the finish line of my last race and has been a great support to me and my family. His greatest love is to be in his plane, flying, and whenever he did, he'd give me a call and off we'd go. It was something that I really, really looked forward to when I got home. Another one of my great friends is Bill Godfrey, who rowed in the 2007 and 8 Atlantic rowing race with me. That race was one of the highlights of my life, and Bill really helped me in the build-up to this solo race. He helped me set up the gates on my boat and many other rowing bits that I just really had no idea what to do with. Bill's an accomplished rower.
Pete going through all this gives me a lot of flashbacks. I'm constantly remembering being out there and wishing I was there. Just being on your own is quite a big thing.
Being cut off from the outside world is a very difficult thing to deal with. There were many times on the boat where there was absolutely utter stillness and silence. I got a good feeling of what it must be like to be deaf. I was incredibly proud to be raising funds for the Coral de Toy Centre for the deaf, to be able to help young deaf children like that through raising funds for them. For me is an absolute honour.
We want to see you eat. Do you like grass?
What we do here is teach deaf children to learn to speak. And that is a good option for a deaf child. The need for funds at the Coral de Toy Centre is critical in that we could help so many more children who are currently falling through the net.
I found that routine was probably the most important thing that I had on board to keep check of myself. You know, am I eating properly? Am I motivated enough? Am I looking after the boat well? Yesterday was quite exciting with the Dorado. I heard at the back of the boat there was something like funny noise coming from my rudder, so I went and had a look at my rudder. It was quite rough outside, and I looked down and there was this whole school of Dorado underneath the boat, so I tried to film it as much as I could. And little did I know that this was to be the start of the most unusual friendship that I'd ever experienced. They were the Smith family Dorado. I think most people would think that I'm quite odd for forming this kind of relationship, and I must admit, so did I. But my friend and closest competitor Dave didn't feel the same way about his Dorado.
There's my friend Mahi Malcolm, who I will be endeavouring to eat at some point, hopefully. He looks like a nice, about 20 pound, 30 pounder. I'm raring to see him on my frying pan with some Chinese seasoning. I'm gonna eat you, boy.
Because the race start was delayed till after Christmas, I still had all my Christmas decorations and presents on board. I really liked the idea of having Christmas in the middle of the ocean, so I decided to celebrate Christmas on the 25th of January. My race manager Cliffy and weatherman Chart were not only great supports to me in the build-up to the start of the race and at the start of the race itself, but also during the race. My weatherman Chart had just told me that there was a 5-day storm coming. So when I heard the storm was coming, I decided to give Cliffy a call. It's just the para-anchor thing that really freaks me out. Sitting on para-anchor for 5 days is just such a waste of time, you know?
Yeah, but try not to give it too much. Try not to give it too much energy, though. There's another positive side to it, and that is that you can have some rest.
The forecast isn't looking good for the next few days. We just have to see what gets thrown our way.
Fortunately, we had to go back on the power anchor again, because even though it's not that windy, the body of water and the currents are just not letting us go anywhere. It's just Mother Nature is just saying, don't argue. So we've taken the chance to clean the hull. Joe's down there now.
Sharks.
I'm on shark watch duty. He's just having a go at the scrape.
Day 1 of para-anchor. Evidently 5 days of this to come.
This is only the beginning of the front that's coming through. There's a big low pressure system, and I can't go any further south because I'm already on 19 degrees north, and Antigua's only on 17, so I've only got two degrees to play with, and I've still got 1,300 miles to go. So I think the whole fleet will have their sea anchors out. My main competitor, Peter van Kets, who's a solo rower, he's 265 miles behind me.
It's been quite wild. Last night was hectic. Lying in this cabin, just things are flying around you like you can't believe. Next time I'll definitely tie things down a little bit better. But I'm just going to use this time now that I've got to just try and refuel myself. Yesterday it was impossible to cook because of the hectic storm.